Grr. First. Pick for life. What happened? If you can't are living happily with them in the built house, and see. Oh, speak. Ignite it. Anyway, yeah, I don't know if NC probably is. I need you to see front screen. Even though it's not my Discord, I'm still. That's it. That shit pop it up on my phone. So I'm talking. Let me just post. Let me just quickly post before I get started. Let me just quickly go to your God gift. I need him to see. I don't know what. Going. Yeah, I'm not gonna be. Anything I might, I don't know. At most, I might a 12 because in case I didn't know tomorrow I actually gotta somewhat fix. But I went to bed mad earlier. But probably tomorrow I'll do a longer stream. Also, ordered my VR shit. This PS shit. That shit is nowhere near. What are they waffling about? I hate when they say like, "Oh, it's gonna get here by so and so day. So and so day comes," and literally I check the thing and it says it's still in transit. It ain't here. How is it gonna be delivered today if it's still in transit? Hope you all have a good. Guys, that hold this shit outside. I ordered a package. What, 2? Thing is, I don't care if it takes 2. I don't care if it takes. accurate, or at least be quick to update your. You don't update. This says I order something. It says it'll be here by next Saturday, or like let's say next Thursday, and then by the time it's next Thursday, it's still not here. Update your shit. Be like, okay, actually, it's not gonna be that day. It's gonna be here like Saturday. Update your shit. That's the main issue. Update their. And right now, it still says it's gonna be here today by 9. Oh my, bro, it's USPS, bro. Aren't they like the most important like joint in the West? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's because of Christmas shopping. I don't fucking. I'm like, bro. They're like the most important sector. U.S. How are they? How are you fucking up this bad? I don't know what I want. I don't know if I play a game that. Turn into SpongeBob movie. Not that big of. My speedrun. Deadpool.
Why
There's no way there's that.
is everyone spiraling?
Ad blocker. Ad block. Ad block. I was gonna add. Ain't no way you do.
I'm already browsing the.
There is no. Yo, what?
Internet all day, and if I'm getting an ad, we're getting paid, baby! Are you tired of seeing ads everywhere? What if I told you that Pi not only does it block ads, but it also
Going on? Ain't no way you actually somehow found how to get. He was so greedy. I'm getting. I don't know why the fuck. Not getting a pattern. When will you learn? I lost the. Wild. Never played this.
Why is everyone spiraling?
But they really got past my ad blocker. Alright, so let's have to get another. Probably got past that. No way they got past. Somehow got past you, boy. Crazy. I'm gonna download like 15 ad blockers. One of them are gonna win. When will YouTube learn? They're not gonna get a cent. It's not gonna happen. You're not getting. Not watching it. Not get predatory ads. I will install 50 ad block. Wait your I didn't win. Back on. So they still make the ad play, but they just black it out. That's crazy. Yeah, they broke through the uBlock. uBlock usually works. Everybody uses it. Starting to find a way. This one, whenever they do that shit, find a way to get through. Someone else. They don't learn their lesson. They're stubborn. Every time they do dumb shit like this, try to make it watch the ad. Someone will just make a better ad blocker, blocks the ad. Oh, you learn your lesson. This shit. There's gonna be one dude who's gonna one up you. Someone's gonna one up you.
Listen, you want to skip this ad.
Yo, well, let me look at the ad. I'm curious.
I would too. But what if I told you there's a skip ads for everybody?
It's called Pi, and if that sounds familiar to you, it's probably because you've seen their ads everywhere. It's an ad blocker that works on Twitch, YouTube, and
Wait, Pi? Wait, hold on. Let me actually look at the ad play. Is it ad? Wait, is the ad about an ad blocker? There's no way. There's actually no. That's funny as. An ad play. Ad play. What's the ad play? Actually, no. Hold on, let me look it up. Called Pi ad blocker. Yeah. Ain't no way. I tried to block an ad about an ad blocker. Oh, Pi ad. How does how? Block ads and get. What an ad. I approve. What? Huh? Data future. Ad blocking watch ad. I add block yours. Hey, this works for Twitch. Talking about the browser, not the actual. Only ad block you ever need. Honestly, look, let's put it to auto disable. I do not give a. Sophomore camp. I don't. In a camp. I don't. I really just don't care.
Why is everyone spiraling over?
Bro, you didn't block the ad. Lying to me now. Bro, you said it?
For YouTube banning ad blockers? Like, chill guys, just use Pi. It's a free Chrome extension that's actually made by one of the founders of Honey, and it basically blocks ads for you. Like, imagine watching YouTube and Twitch completely uninterrupted, and it actually gets
Imagine doing this shit while I'm literally using ad block. It doesn't block the fuck.
cooler because if you do end up seeing ads, Pi legit pays you to see it. I didn't even know these were ads
I'm not getting paid for this, by the way. I didn't link my fucking.
in the first place, but I made money off of them, which is great. It even has a visual mode that lets you watch your ads disappear. Like,
Maybe it's because I reloaded.
why is everyone spiraling over?
Bro, I don't want to see your ads either. You're not an exception.
Bluff is an app which runs quietly in the background as you play your favorite games. The more you
I am about to crack. Off my.
One little spot that there's a tiny fucking.
Bro, really? Really? I don't want to see your ads either. I didn't make an exception. I want to see your ads. I would have just. Mention 100. Obviously. Where was the one I was looking? It was literally ad after ad after ad. It's going so bad. Yep, see, I told you. That's why I'm telling you, YouTube's not getting us. They can try. I assure you, it will not work.
The Nintendo 64 era was
Now
such an
it's
exciting and memorable time for gaming.
Told you.
I mean, probably. I was only a few months old at the time the N64 was released, but just the thought of so
Oh,
many
shit.
big series getting
I left my. Told you, YouTube will not get a fucking cent out of me. Oppressive as ads, you're not getting a cent out of me.
their first releases into
No.
3D environments had to be so hype. Nintendo was the biggest developer of games for their system for obvious reasons,
Conquer Bad.
but for me the best games on the console were developed by Rare. GoldenEye, Donkey Kong 64, and Banjo-Kazooie are probably the first games that come to mind when thinking about classic Rare N64 games, but my favorite out of their collection is definitely Conker's Bad Fur Day. During a time where most games were made to be family friendly, especially from Nintendo,
Now that game was open up.
Conker's broke the mold with its adult themes, crew jokes, and innuendos shoehorned into practically every interaction in the game. If you were ignorant to the M rating on the cover, you'd probably think you were purchasing the perfect game for your 8-year-old child, only to come back a few hours later to this.
Bro.
This game's speedrun is also really cool, so in today's video, I'm going to be covering the world record run by Arbliterator and explain all the tricks along the way.
Why does a
I hope
flower
you
have
all
calcium?
enjoy. So the game opens up to a very grumpy looking Conker with a crown on his head and a glass of milk in hand. As the camera pans out, he recants the past 24 hours that landed him in the throne as the king of the land, as well as who the goofy cast of characters surrounding him are.
Yo, that's me. That's
The
me.
story starts with Conker leaving his girlfriend Barry a voicemail that he's going to be home late as he formulates an excuse to
What's that? A sunflower with tits? I've seen it all. Yeah, bro. Sunflower can have calcium.
drink all night with his friends. Conker gets a bit carried away though, as he can be seen vomiting upon leaving the bar as he heads through a storm to get back home. Meanwhile, the Panther King, the current ruler of the kingdom, can be seen enjoying a glass of milk. That is until one of the legs on the table gives out, spilling the milk on the floor and raging the king. In the morning, Conker wakes up hungover in the mud, and will slowly stumble around this gate into the field to meet a scarecrow named Birdie. Birdie teaches Conker about the
Time to
bee bugs on the
pollinate?
ground, which
Bruh.
gives context-sensitive abilities and items to Conker, like water to cure his hangover. Next, Conker will need to get out of this area, so we'll head across the water, jumping
Time
in
to
and out of it
pollinate.
to move a bit faster. This is the tutorial area, so there are a few spots where the game will stop to teach Conqueror techniques, like high jumping and hovering. But in a speedrun, we can simply hit the trigger to learn how to hover, jump backwards, and then hover over the thought bubble trigger, saving about 1 second.
Hey, yo, bro has a tails jump.
At the top of this platforming section is a gargoyle blocking the way, and in order to progress, we'll pull down this nearby lever to open a door from below. In here, there's a key running around the room. The fastest way to deal with this is to chase the key, getting it as close to the door as possible. We'll want Conqueror to always be moving here, as we're waiting for an event to trigger to give Conqueror a frying pan, and it won't activate until he's moved enough.
Bro, hit it with a frying
Ideally,
pan.
we'll get this to occur with the key next to the door, and Conqueror facing away with the key still in view, to ensure the key doesn't get any invincibility frames. Once the pan is obtained, we can hit the key, and upon picking it up, start the next cutscene immediately, then exit. We can then hit the gargoyle off the bridge with a frying pan, and then use the nearby B button to clear the path and exit the area. On Conqueror's way home, he consistently gets distracted, taking on several different odd jobs and missions, collecting cash anywhere he can come across it. His first mission is to return the beehive to the queen bee, which is easy enough. On the way there, we can jump down from this cliff and avoid fall damage by hovering just before landing. This is a useful trick, as falls can either do 1 damage, or they'll kill Conqueror instantly, so it's best to play it safe in most cases.
Wait, what? Wait, what? That's crazy. So, fall, yo, that's crazy. That's crazy, fall. So you either take no damage, or you just die. That's fucking.
Movement is relatively straightforward in this game, as Conqueror's standard run speed is usually the fastest you can go. But over certain terrain like the yellow ground texture while heading up this path, it's faster to spam jumps. Pretty much anytime you see our Obliterator jumping, just assume it's probably to move slightly faster. This mission is pretty simple. As long as Conqueror remains moving while avoiding the slow terrain, we'll get to the bottom easily, avoiding the wasps. The beehive then converts into a minigun and takes out the wasps, and we're awarded the first cash bounty. There is another strat that can be done here called hive skip, where instead of carrying the hive down the hill, we throw it into the river and then carry it the rest of the way. This is only viable in the N64 due to lag, but it does save roughly 12 seconds. Next, Arb will hit the nearby B button to use the slingshot on these beetles that are blocking the path ahead. Slingshotting is kind of tricky without a proper crosshair, but being an experienced runner, they clear through it quickly. Next, we can head up to the Barn Boys area, jumping over the geometry here for a more direct line, as well as a cutscene skip, saving a little bit of time. In Barn Boys, we first talk to a metal crate named Jack, whose girlfriend won't get off him until the nearby mouse Marvin is dealt with. Arb will then traverse through the area delivering 3 pieces of cheese, with the only thing needed to be worried about are Marvin's burps after delivering the cheese, which if contact is made, causes Conqueror to vomit, losing a ton of time. After the final piece of cheese is delivered, Marvin will blow up from the gas buildup, and we'll be able to proceed up the barn.
Oh!
This game does have a few movement-related tech you can see sprinkled in throughout the run.
Yo,
for instance, during the climb here, we can see a backwards momentum jump, which is performed by holding the analog stick in opposite direction you're currently moving in, and jumping to conserve momentum.
Inside the mouse?
On the top of the barn, Arb will press this button to open the door to the building, and then head inside, completely ignoring the cache nearby. Upon entering the building, we'll talk to the pitchfork named Frankie, which begins chasing Conqueror around the area. We'll want to redirect his attacks into all the piles of hay, taking them each out one by one. This is one of the more heavy RNG sections of the run, and it's even possible to take out 2 to 3 haystacks with one attack. After the last stack is taken out, Arb will position Conqueror in front of this lever, and then jump onto it 2 seconds after Frankie says, "This is too much." This causes Conqueror to warp back to the lever after the cutscene is skipped, and opens up another entry into the barn. After taking out the haystacks, Frankie begins getting grilled by the paint can and brush as they disparage him for his performance, and even go as far as to tell him to kill himself. So in defiance, he ties a rope around his neck off the ceiling. Except, he's not able to hang him.
Bro, yo, ain't no way he put a low tier guy. Bro pulled a low tier guy. He said, "You should keep." Bro, he put a low tier guy. He said, "You should kill yourself now. Give someone else that oxygen." And bro actually did it. Bro actually tried to.
As they disparage him for his performance, and even go as far as to tell him to kill himself. So in defiance, he ties a rope around his neck off the ceiling. Except, he's not able to hang himself because he doesn't even have a neck, so we'll need to go upstairs to free him. After heading outside, we'll speak to the king bee, who wants to pollinate the nearby sunflower with large breasts. So
Oh my god.
For now, we'll jump on this wooden crate and head inside the top of the barn. From here, Arb will jump over the support beams, picking up 2 pieces of chocolate along the way to max out Conqueror's health, and then use a context-sensitive pad to throw knives at the rope, freeing Frankie. For some reason, 4 knives need to be thrown before Frankie can be released, so the first 4 can be thrown anywhere as long as the last is thrown directly at the rope. Arb will put the knives away just before the cutscene plays to be able to move sooner afterwards. Next is the first big skip of the speedrun, Haybot skip. Normally here we're supposed to head downstairs and fight Haybot, but by hovering into one of these beams and tapping A at a specific rhythm, it's possible to clip out of bounds and head right into the Haybot 2 fight.
Wow.
This saves up to 30 seconds and removes additional possible time loss due to RNG in the Haybot 1 fight. During this fight, Arb will bait missile launches from the bot into 3 different pipes, which will blow holes into each of them. Water will begin running out of the pipes, which we can lure the bot into to short circuit it, and then once in the center, punch the red button on the back to deal damage. The main time save here is charging towards the Haybot while shooting missiles to immediately aggro it and lead it into the water. After the final missile shot, the bot will do 5 hops before it begins looking around, but as long as Conker stands nearby, he'll get aggro towards him, saving a few seconds. Following his fight, we'll need to begin climbing up the tower as the water fills up the chamber. Along the way, there will be several context-sensitive pads to knock out the electrical wires, which if allowed to make contact with the water, will electrocute Conker. After all 6 wires are taken out, Conker is able to exit the area. Outside of here, there will be a monk with a stone tablet to launch Conker towards some money, and after grabbing it, we can exit the barn. Now we just need to finish up the King's quest. First we'll head over to the Sunflower, but she doesn't really feel like dealing with Conker, and makes him go away. In order to get on her good side, we'll need to collect groups of bees around the area that will begin tickling her upon arrival. The first group can be found on the pathway to the barn. After grabbing them, Arb will head back to the wooden crate to get on the sledge, and then from the ledge, jump to the roof to grab another wad of cash, as well as a second group of bees. The third group of bees can be found while climbing up the ladders on the bull over the roof of the barn. Once reaching the top, Conker can jump off this plank to turn into an anvil, and press the button below, opening a hidden tunnel. From here, Arb will jump down from the bull and hover as late as possible to land on this cliff and slide down near the pieces of cheese. The fourth group of bees can be grabbed here, and then we'll head below to grab a wad of cash. Upon exiting, Arb will head back to the start of the area to grab the final set of bees, and then finally lead them to the Sunflower. The bees will begin tickling the Sunflower, and as she opens up, the king bee hops in to pollinate her. Conker isn't left out as a third wheel, as she offers him 2 bouncy platforms leading to the final wad of cash in the area, clearing the Barn Boys chapter.
No fucking way. Yo, this game was actually... Yo, I might have to play this game eventually. I might have to play this game. What the? It was unhinged. The game is so... Why are you bouncing off her house? What's even in there? It can't be milk. There's nothing. What is it, water? Bro. Oh my god. The Conker looks so fucking disgusting. Oh.
Him 2 bouncy platforms leading to the final wad of cash in the area, clearing the Barn Boys chapter. Cutting back to the Panther King and figuring out how he fits into the story, his servant Professor Von Cripplesback has been doing some thorough research to fix the leg on the table. As we can see from his notes, a potted plant won't fit, an elephant won't fit, but a squirrel is actually the perfect height to fill the gap. Easily convinced, the Panther King orders the servant to begin hunting for a red squirrel. Well, if you've got some spare wads of cash lying around, and don't eat anything other than giant blocks of chocolate like Conker, then today's video sponsor Factor is perfect for you. Factor is the best food delivery service out there, sending out fresh, never frozen prepackaged meals straight to your doorstep. Factor is perfect for video. Now let's get back to the speedrun. Afterwards, we'll head out of the area and then head to the cabin in the poo area. While in this area, it's always faster to jump rather than run through the poo on the ground. After entering the cabin, we'll be greeted by the Dung Beetle secretary.
Oh, the Great Mighty Poo? I know that bro.
If he can get the cows in the nearby area to poop. We'll then need to use a few rope swings to progress forward, and after making our way through the area, we'll enter the bull section. After entering, we can climb upwards to reach a wheel, and after rotating it, prune juice will dispense into the cow's trough. The bull found below isn't fond of Conker's red fur and will begin to chase him around once he's in view. By luring him into this target, we can open up a crate to release a cow onto the grass. For the smaller targets like this, Arb will then jump into the water briefly to manipulate the bull into charging forward sooner. After it hits this big target, Conker can take control over the bull and charge him into the cow. Charging the cow will cause it to switch from eating grass to drinking the prune juice, and once the juice is consumed, it will begin filling up the basin with poo. Then the cow will need to be charged one more time to remove it from the hole. We'll need to repeat the process 2 additional times, requiring an extra hit each time new cattle spawns before they'll drink the prune juice. Once the final cow is removed, the grates covering the hole will give out, dropping the bull below. by holding jump as Arb enters the next load zone, allows them to buffer the input frame perfectly upon loading in, which can be used to jump over the wall out of bounds to jump straight to the nearby money. At this point, Conquer doesn't know how to swim, since we're supposed to learn it from a context button, but it's still possible to leave this room by jumping high up and performing a dive to push Conquer deep enough into the water to get around the wall. For some reason, this will automatically teach Conquer how to swim, meaning with this, we can skip the swim tutorial altogether, saving up to 15 seconds.
Wow.
Unfortunately for Arb, this trick is a lot harder on the Xbox Series consoles due to faster loads, and they miss it in this run. So they go grab the money and learn swim the intended way. After exiting the cabin, Arb will buffer another jump input to skip Conquer equipping the mask, and begin rolling balls of poo that enlarge in size when moved across the area. While heading up this path scaling the mountainside, there will be a handful of beetles patrolling the area, and can waste a bit of time if we run into them. The first beetle can be avoided simply by jumping, and then Arb will hold C down on the camera to set up the beetles on cycle so that they're never in the way, saving several seconds. After reaching the end of the path, Conquer will place a TNT inside the ball of poo and roll it into the mouth of a dung beetle, blowing him up to clear the path. While remaining on cycle, Arb grabs another ball and rolls it up to the newly cleared path leading to the top of the mountain, using another C down strat to get past the final beetle towards the top. Even though Poo Mountain is opened up, it's quicker to instead jump to the top of the mountain to grab some cash, and then jump down to grab one more ball to throw down this fence to take out a guard blocking his peg. After interacting with a peg, Conqueror will activate it, flushing the enemies out of the water. In the next area, some catfish offer Conqueror a cash reward if he's able to take out the bulldog fish thing guarding their valuables. Nearby the dogfish is a passageway to Bat's tower. In the tower, we're introduced to a cog with split personalities, looking for his lady cog friends that must have ran off. Arb wastes no time in helping this man out by heading up the lift, hovering around a cutscene trigger, and gliding into a nearby log to clip out of bounds. This clip is pretty crazy because it warps Conqueror all the way to the top of the tower, skipping a somewhat lengthy platforming section.
What the
Once at the top, Arb will need to do a sketchy glide around an invisible wall to reach his wad of cash instantly, and then can jump from here to hit a lever leading to another section of the tower.
How speedrunners figure.
Arb will then do some precise jumps downwards, following the perfect distance to not die, and lands in the water. From here we can head through the open gate and grab the first red cog on the other side, just outside the entrance. Arb will then need to bring each cog back and forth back to the main room. There's not too much else to point out other than the remainder cogs can't be hit from their starting positions, so Arb will chase them around to the other side and hit them near the exit. Once the final cog is placed, the wheel in the center can be spun around to shorten the dogfish's leash, granting Conquer and the catfish access to the safe. Upon entering, the cash inside will spot Conquer and begin running away deeper within the chamber. First, Arb will need to open this door by spelling open using the slingshot. In this run, they manage to hit O quickly enough to just barely hit P before it gets covered, allowing for a pretty fast section. This opens up the floor leading to the water level portion of the game, Clang's Lair. By swimming directly downwards and hugging the wall, Arb is able to just barely come in contact with the air dispensers to replenish Conquer's oxygen, allowing them to never stop moving, and then slide right past the Clang patrolling the area. Arb will first go through the green tunnel, pop out of the water for air, dive back down through the blue tunnel, and then re-emerge to pull this lever, opening the exit to the lair. Arb will then head back through the green and yellow tunnels to reach the exit passageway.
I like little air indicator. But in Banjo, because bubbles. Look, it shows. Yeah, as he runs out of air, he basically.
Hugging the walls once again to avoid the Clang. Next we'll enter the boiler room. Upon entering, Conqueror stumbles across some fire imps smoking cigarettes and drinking lighter fluid. The two notice Conqueror, taking interest in his flammable fur. The one shoves a cigarette up his ass for some reason, and then they take cover, waiting to pounce on Conqueror. Before approaching the imps, Arb will drink from the nearby keg and begin golden showering the enemies.
He's pissing on them.
It's important that Arb takes out all 8 of these imps in one drunk cycle, because once it ends, Conquer gets hungover and will need to stumble over to the first aid kit to sober up, just to get drunk all over again. Luckily here for Arb, the tail end of the stream manages to hit the final imp, and we move on to the boss fight of the area. The fire imps enter a boiler, drop its balls of brass, and begin chasing Conquer around the area. The boss fight here has a bit of RNG involved.
Oh my
which
god.
part of the room the boiler.
Bro. Did I just see balls on my There is no way. So this game is actually on him. There is no way I just saw him piss, like drink a bunch of alcohol, take a piss on a bunch of fire ants, and then the furnace has balls. Why does the furnace need balls? Like, what were the devs on in this game? There's no. What were the devs on? I need to know. What the fuck? Were they drunk making this game? They were like, oh yeah, bro, let's just add a furnace boss fight. Then let's give it a ball sack for no, just for no reason. Just for the fuck of it. Why not?
The fire imps enter a boiler, drop its balls of brass, and begin chasing Conker around the area.
Balls of brass.
The boss fight here has a bit of RNG involved depending on which corner of the room the boiler faces. In this case, Arb gets really good luck as the boiler is facing Conker at the start, meaning they can pull the lever dispensing what I can assume.
Did I miss Old Rare? Bro, this is what they're doing. Of course you do. This is the type of unhinged shit you probably do. I wouldn't be surprised. Giving a furnace brass balls. They gave a furnace a brass ball sack. What reason? For what reason? There's no reason. They gave a flower a free longest costume kit. Then they gave a gigantic. Actually,
To be poo all over him. This will cause the boiler to step back, allowing Conker to hit its balls with bricks. After sustaining several brutal hits to the family jewels, the boiler's balls literally fly off, disabling the machine. Afterwards, the balls can be found lying around the room, the first being used to open up this door, and the other to roll down the hallway, taking out the goblin and the wall behind it. Leading through the wall is the exit, as well as the catfish's wad of cash. After exiting, Conker learns that the fortune he was seeking was only a measly $10 and decides to keep the entirety of it for himself. Obviously this riles up the catfish, but before anything else happens, the rope attached to the dogfish begins getting loose. The catfish make their way out of the vicinity, with Conker following closely behind. Once Conker touches the river, the dogfish gets loose and begins chasing him. Arb then does a quick jump, hover, and then dives under the water to avoid the dogfish's attack. By staying close to the bottom of the water and hugging the walls, the dogfish will not only not be able to attack Conker, but it will also swim past the catfish, meaning the cutscenes of them getting ripped to shreds get skipped, saving about 3 seconds overall.
Yo, that's great.
Upon reaching the end of the river, the dogfish will begin chomping.
Hey, yo, Sonic 06 reference? Actually, no, Sonic 06 took it from this. So technically, it's a fucking. So Conker's Bad Fur Day reference is Sonic 06. Literally Sonic 06. where the fucking. I think what? It's like the beginning of the game. It's like I think it's like the first level. Does. But it's saying it's Sonic 06 first in the very first level. Things like what Wave Ocean. There's a part literally like this. Like a part literally like this where you get chased by a fucking whale. Starts breaking the fucking. And then you have to jump off like the planks of wood. Midair, like
About 3 seconds overall.
it's literally like this.
Upon reaching the end of the river, the dogfish will begin chomping its way through the dock, chasing after Conker. Conker narrowly avoids its final chomp, causing it to get trapped on land. Conker can then use the body to bounce up to the sledge, collecting $300. A pretty big upgrade over the $10 reward. Arb then exits the area and heads back to Pooh Mountain to finally head inside. Upon entering, Conker bumps into a dung beetle who is in a big hurry to get out of the mountain. He explains that some sort of monster had just snatched up his friends and recommends that Conker doesn't bother entering for his own safety.
The Great Mighty Pooh?
But of course
this
he
boss
mentions
fight.
that there's some money lying around in the area, so naturally Conker proceeds anyways. The ominous figure requests some of the sweet corn lying around the area. After throwing the first piece of corn in the center, everyone's favorite boss, the Great Mighty Pooh, is summoned. The movement of the remaining corn is completely random, so I will begin trekking through the rest of the area, hitting whichever corn is standing closest to the center, and chasing the others closer to the
That actually
platform
might be my
before
favorite
picking them up.
boss.
For the final set of 3
Nah, this actually might be my favorite boss in the game. Like literally, I'm sorry. It's literally just a pile of shit, bro. It's literally just a hot steaming pile of shit. And then you're throwing sweet corn. Oh my god. Oh, I feel like low key, like, I don't know. I feel like this is a barely disguised fetish. The devs are like, yo, let's just put our barely disguised fetishes that are not disguised at all into this. Like, like, why is there a hot steaming pile of shit as the boss fight? Okay, the furnace was kind of crazy. So you fought like a bunch of fucking, fought like a fucking what, pitchfork? Where the fuck that? Like a dogfish. Whatever the fuck a dogfish is. Is a dogfish actually a type of fish? I don't think so. Whatever the fuck a dogfish is. But like a hot steaming pile of shit. That's just so fucking ridiculous.
Corn, Arb attempts to scare the ones on the left to push them around the other way, and then jumps across, grabbing the closest one to the center. By doing this, it's possible that the scared Corn gets hit by the Mighty Pooh's hand, saving a bit of time. Unfortunately for Arb, this inconsistent strat wouldn't work out as the Corn gets too close to Conquer before the hand spawns, requiring them to grab the Corn the old-fashioned way. Oh well. Upon throwing the final piece of corn, the Great Mighty Pooh boss fight begins, as well as his legendary song. But of course, as a speedrun, so not only will Arb be skipping all of the cutscenes, but they'll also be throwing the toilet paper into his mouth the second he begins hitting his high notes, ending them instantly. The boss will always throw 6 balls of poo before it begins singing, all of which can be manipulated by...
Wait, is he... Wait, no way. Wait, hold on. Is he literally shitting into his hand and then throwing the... Yo, this is so gross. There's no way he's actually shitting. He's a pile of shit, shitting out shit and then throwing it at you. Are you actually dead ass?
The boss will always throw 6 balls of poo before it begins singing.
Oh no, he's just pulling it from himself. Okay, I was about to say.
As he throws them to throw off his aim.
Each
phase requires an additional roll of toilet paper to be thrown each time. The first 2 phases are pretty easy and straightforward, but for the third phase, the boss will randomly change his position just before he begins singing. There's only 3 spots he can be in, and since we can eliminate the spot he begins in, it's pretty much just a 50-50 shot where to aim at. But there should always be enough time to react to wherever he ends up, like Arb demonstrates here. After throwing the final roll of toilet paper, the boss will hit his final high note in a pitch strong enough to break the glass, exposing the wad of cash as well as a lever. Arb makes their way around to collect the cash and pull the lever to flush the Great Mighty Pooh, finishing the chapter. Following the end of the chapter, the game cuts to Barry in the middle of another one of her dancing workouts. She hears a knock at the door that she assumes is Conquer, but it ends up being a rock monster instead, who knocks her out and kidnaps her away.
Damn.
Back to the speedrun, Arb will begin heading down the giant hole that's appeared inside the mountain. The only thing to point out in this section are these spinning blades that have touched kill Conquer instantly. I don't know if it's just me, but my depth perception in this section is awful, and I find it so difficult to avoid these blades quickly.
What? I mean, they look pretty deadly. It's like covered in blood. But like low-key, okay, let me rewind. The depth perception, I can't really tell.
But my depth perception in this section is awful.
Yeah, that looked like
it was
gonna
hit. It's so difficult to avoid these blades quickly, but Arb manages to barely slide through just in time. This leads to a small tunnel and then a short platforming section for Conquer to climb ropes and ladders, all while avoiding the nearby spinning blades. Once at the top, Conquer will bump into 2 guards blocking access to the area for an exorbitant $1,000 to proceed. Conquer pays up, but then the guard remarks that Conquer seems to fit the description for the red squirrel they're looking for. But Conquer is able to convince him that he's actually an elephant, and ends up being allowed to walk right past, and even calls the money back over to him.
Right.
This section of the game has a prehistoric vibe to it, with dinosaurs patrolling this temple.
Conquer can call money
Arb
to
jumps
him?
to avoid the dinos, but unfortunately gets bit by one while platforming upwards. At the top there's a statue, and when it's interacted with 3 times, drops the statue below, granting access to the cave. Once below, the statue needs to be hit 1 more time to open up the path. Arb even manages to do a little slide off of the anvil to save a bit of time. We'll then make our way over to the Rock Solid nightclub to grab a boulder. The nearby rock monsters will aggro onto Conquer, so when this happens, it's best to jump to avoid their attacks, and then continue rolling it along. Upon reaching this passageway, Conquer will roll the boulder downhill, taking out the cavemen and the wall below. This leads to the main chamber with a giant dinosaur head in the center. In the far back right of the room, there's a door that opens up to the next section. In this section, Conker finds a giant dinosaur egg, and he sits on top of it until it hatches.
Bro.
The dino named Loopy thinks Conker's its mother, and begins following him around the path. Along the way, Loopy will eat each of the cavemen it runs into, but by staying the max distance away from Loopy while keeping him locked onto Conker, he'll sometimes skip eating the cavemen, saving a bit of time. The most important thing is to ensure that Loopy continues following Conker as he walks through the door, or he won't be able to move to the next room. Back in the main chamber, Arb will lead Loopy off the sledge to save a bit of time. In the center of the room, we can find a context-sensitive pad, as well as some cavemen worshipping the dino head. While Loopy devours a caveman, Arb will shoot this button to raise a nearby lift. After doing so, Loopy should conveniently be standing closer to the platform after eating the second caveman. Then Arb will lure Loopy onto the platform and hit the other button on the wall to crush him. This sacrifice opens up the mouth of the giant dino head. From here, Arb will use a monk with a stone tablet to land on top of the dino's head and interact with each of its nostrils, filling them with black pepper. This will cause it to sneeze, clearing the green slime away from its mouth. Arb will use the monk once more to go to the top of the head to grab some cash. Now at this point, you would normally go head into the dino mouth, leading to the next section, but for some reason by going back through the right side door again, the game just warps us exactly where the dino head exits to. Then Conker loots a caveman outfit from a dead body. Normally you'd need to traverse backwards through the dino head to get back, but by death abusing, we'll reload at the bottom of the room and can exit out the door to reach the main chamber. Apparently the dead body Conker looted was the leader of the cavemen, so when Conker comes outside, they begin following him around, thinking he's a resurrected king. Then Arb heads back to the Rock Solid nightclub. There will be 4 rock monsters lying around the area, and each one needs to be struck by Conker's frying pan, signaling the cavemen to take each of them out. The cavemen can be a bit annoying to deal with, as if they hit Conker, he can sometimes get launched flying backwards, but Arb manages to get through the section relatively unscathed. The crew will confront the bouncer to be let in, but he won't budge without the password. Luckily, one of the cavemen happens to know it offhand, and he lets Conker and friends inside.
Boachio?
Once inside the club, the objective is to free Barry, who is trapped inside. First, Arb will go behind the counter to move this boulder up the ramp and onto the switch to open a door. This starts the puzzle section that will need another boulder to complete. In order to get the second boulder, Conker will drink from the keg to get drunk, and use his piss to push one of the rock monsters through the doorway. Unfortunately, even after pushing him through the door, Conker is still drunk, and
why am I not surprised the password was oral sex?
So Arb will just wait by the first aid kit until the effect wears off. Afterwards, Arb will push the rock past some rock monster strippers and leave it on another switch, opening another.
I looked away for like 5 seconds. Why is there a rock with tits? Those are probably one of the most uncomfortable calcium cans ever. Like, bro, how was that even comfortable? It's a rock. It's a rock with giant boulders. Probably probably hurt. Like, how are we gonna motorboat? How does it work? Like, those strippers must get like nothing. How was that effective?
Hungover. So Arb will just wait by the first aid kit until the effect wears off. Afterwards, Arb will push the rock past some rock monster strippers and leave it on another.
Okay, and how are they so jiggly? Like, the rocks. Come on now. Nah, they should not have the rocks.
Switch, opening another doorway. Arb will have to go through a similar process as the last, pushing 2 additional rock monsters through the new openings. This will cause one of the rocks to land on Barry's cage, freeing her, as well as a wad of cash. She escapes, but doesn't even notice Conker because of his outfit. Arb grabs the cash and attempts to exit the club, but Conker is stopped at the door by the bouncer, who noticed him stealing the cash, and is told that he needs to speak with the boss, Don Weezo. The boss can be seen getting a back rub from Barry, who still doesn't recognize Conker with the outfit on. She shortly leaves afterwards, and the two discuss business. Apparently the boss is sick of dealing with the cavemen in the area, and requests that Conker bombs them to clear them out. In return, Conker is allowed to keep the money. Arb then begins a long trek back to the area once more, carrying the bomb to the same place we found the dead king at. The main thing to worry about is avoiding the cavemen hitting Conker on his way through, And there's also a ledge that can be dropped down from that won't do enough damage to blow up the bomb by holding towards the wall to land sooner. Then Arb will head into the dino's mouth. Upon entering the mouth, the swinging uvulas are on a set cycle, so as long as you hold forward without ever slowing down Conquer, you'll be able to reach the end unimpeded. Conquer then throws a bomb into the lava, causing it to rise, as well as some platforms to get across. In the next area, Conquer is knocked out by a caveman. He wakes up shortly afterwards to a group of them mocking him for getting robbed for all his cash. One of the cavemen ends up falling off their board while making fun of Conquer, so they insist on him using the vacant jet board to race them for the money back. As for clearing the section optimally, Arb will start by jumping through the load zone to set up the race on a specific cycle. All 3 cavemen need to be killed throughout the race in order to finish the section. What normally occurs during this race is that after the first 2 cavemen are killed, a gate drops blocking the normal path, and you need to traverse a longer extended course instead. That is unless you're extremely good at the game like Arb is, because in this run, they managed to skip the 3rd lap completely by killing the 3rd caveman super quickly before the gate can block the path. Not only does this save a ton of time, but this is also the most difficult trick in the run, so it was really impressive to see Arb pull this off here. After finishing the last caveman, the rest of the cash will be restored, and Arb can collect a wad of cash off this ramp. Conquer ends up losing control of the jet board as he crashes into a coliseum, spectated by King Booga, his girlfriend Jugga, and their kingdom of cavemen. A drawbridge drops, releasing a bloodthirsty dino and the victims within the coliseum. After skipping the cutscenes, Arb will head straight for the context-sensitive pad to hypnotize the dino, allowing Conquer to ride it. We'll then need to spend 3 rounds clearing out the cavemen in groups of 6s. The first wave the enemies will spawn in at random, and for the remainder they'll spawn in at set locations. To clear this section quickly, Arb will headbutt any cavemen that are—
Can I just say that Conquer has like the claw armor? Like, bro literally has the dinosaur coming. Bro, just like, let me just take out my random watch. Let me just randomly whip out my random ass watch and start crazy ass claw armor.
They're close to the edge to push them into the lava.
Like, this must be Toon Force. He has some level of Toon Force. What the fuck? He just pulls random shit out of his ass.
And for all others, just eat them normally. But we'll want to avoid doing this as much as possible because the animation is just eat them normally. But we'll want to avoid doing this as much as possible because—
Yo, wait, what?
And for all others, just eat them normally. But we'll want to—
Hey, yo, bro, what? Ain't no way, bro. How did I miss this? What? I actually cannot with this. Bro, what? But why does everything have milk? Why does everything— Yo, the devs were horny as— we were clearly playing this game with one hand. Back in the day, this was before they had power to add polygons. Holy shit. Bro, even bro's the thumbs up. Real quick, I'll be right back in a few. Is my mic on? Okay, my mic's on.
Avoid doing this as much as possible because the animation is really slow. Arb did a really good job here clearing out the first wave, but the second wave went a little off the rails after a missed chomp on one of the cavemen. They'd managed to clean it up, however, and have a pretty decent third wave. This segment can be really tough because the controls for the dino don't handle the best. Next up is the boss fight against King Booga himself. This fight is actually pretty easy. All you need to do is wait for Booga to jump, and after he lands you can headbutt him in the crotch, and then bite him in the ass.
Bruh,
And then
oh
for the
my.
next 2 hits, you don't even need to
Why is he so thick?
and then bite him in the ass.
Bro. Bro, why is he so cheap? Why? Did they really gotta do this? Did they gotta make him so really?
And then for the next 2 hits, you don't even need to wait for him to jump, so once he raises his club, repeat the same process again, and the boss is defeated. King Booga's drawers drop for everyone to see, and he runs off in embarrassment. Conker, completely forgetting
Damn.
he already has a girlfriend, attempts to flirt with Jugga, but gets rejected.
Damn. Really? Why is she so big? Bro, why is she so big? Well, okay, well, I was gonna say he's a squirrel, so it makes sense though why she's like so big. But at the same time, the cavemen are like mad small. They're like the same size as Conker. So why is she so big? Are they just giant cavemen? Cave women? Yeah, that's crazy though. Bro, really forgot he had a girlfriend. I mean, listen. If you tell me I had a giant cave woman, like I don't know. I can't really blame him.
She leaves him by the exit, thus concluding the prehistoric chapter.
Snushu? So you meant snooze. It literally is that though. It's literally that fucking episode of Futurama. That guy probably end up like that one skeleton with his pelvis broken. That'd be Matakanite. You're gonna be like that one skeleton guy with the broken pelvis.
Arb then makes her way out of the area, grabbing a wad of cash on the way out, as well as using clever platforming tricks like frying pan cancels to cancel landing lag. Arb will also need to traverse back through the poo area and exit out of the poo cabin to return back to the hub. Upon exiting, Conker will see the beehive being stolen by the wasps. The writing in this section is honestly pretty cool, because I guess we can just skip talking to the queen bee and go straight for the hive. And the way Arb does this is by climbing up Poo Mountain again, and doing a really precise jump to reach the wad of cash you would normally reach by going through the hive. So not only does this grab the cash right away, but also gives quick access inside to collect the beehive. This can be reached a bit quicker with a jump. Since the beehive also doubles as a turret, Conker hops inside and begins taking out all the wasps. So obviously it's fastest to shoot each wasp as quickly as possible, but it's more optimal to shoot manually rather than holding down the Z button because it will cause the gun to reload way more often. The wasps spawn in the same location every time, so top runners will memorize exactly where they come in at. Once they're cleared out, Conker can grab the hive and head outside while being chased by the wasps. The route back is exactly the same as before, and Arb gets the hive back, easy peasy. At this point we can now finally afford to pay the barrel at the top of Windy, so Arb will head up the path to the windmill, avoiding the worms along the way. The first 4 can be a bit of a pain, but for the last you can just hover along the right wall. Conker will pay the barrel for a ride, but along the way down he'll lose control and the barrel goes flying, crashing right into a dam at the end of the river. Conker then takes it upon himself to explore the tunnel. Once inside, we'll just need to pull a lever to open up the front gate to a graveyard. Outside, Conker bumps into Greg the Grim Reaper. Greg entices Conker with the spoils of the undead and arms him with a shotgun to take them out. Arb enters the graveyard and then does something I somehow never thought of and hops on a grave in the center to shoot all the zombies from a vantage point. For this section, 12 zombies in total will need to be cleared out before Greg allows us to proceed to the next section. Headshots are preferred as they'll kill the zombies instantly. After doing so, Greg will open the gate to a castle that can be reached after clearing another sketchy worm section. Again, just jumping around them is the best thing you can do here, but they can be really sketchy because getting bit can result in falling off the path.
Damn.
Upon entering the castle, Conker is greeted by his great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather, who wines and dines him as he gives a lengthy retelling of his past.
His
In reality
grandfather?
though, he was just fattening up Conker to drink his blood, but the dinner gets interrupted by villagers. The Count takes advantage of Conker's presence and turns him into a vampire bat. We're then tasked with collecting 7 villagers in the area and delivering them to a meat grinder.
Oh,
While
no.
controlling the bat, there is some movement tech we can see Arb using in the background. Basically, the fastest way to move the bat is by descending as much as possible.
Did bro really just shit on game? Did bro really just shit on the villager and then pick?
Because that's the only time it gains speed, just as long as you don't touch the ground. This can be used to snatch villagers, and if done while holding a villager in hand, will allow Conker to fly even faster while descending than usual.
Oh.
The bat segment takes just a few minutes, and there isn't too much else to point out here. Following the final villager delivery, the Count overindulges on the harvested blood, and his support rope can no longer hold his weight, resulting in him falling into the grinder himself.
Killed his grandfather.
With the Count dead, Conker transforms back to his normal self. His problems aren't over yet, as zombies begin popping up everywhere, so it's probably about time to head out. Normally in this section you need to complete a lengthy puzzle within the castle to grab the key to the front door. But Arb just clips through a wall, leading straight to the key. I swear this whole section took me at least a half hour if not longer to clear, and Arb finishes it in less than 2 minutes. After unlocking the front door, we can hightail it out of here by riding this barrel all the way back down the pathway with the worms, through the graveyard, and finally use it to get past a strong current upstream. From here, if we enter the tunnel, not only will we find some cash, but also find that it leads back to the waterfall from the very start, including the spooky portion of the game. After returning to Windy, the game is interrupted with an announcement from the military that we're going to war, and that they're looking for new recruits. In another ploy to make even more money, Conker sells his body to the military as we head off to the naval base.
Ain't no way. Bro really sold his body to the military to make some money. Yo, listen, I respect Conker's my brother in Christ. If you die, you lose the money. Like, unless he's just confident he's not gonna die, which I mean, I guess you fight a giant pile of shit and a bunch of farm tools and a dogfish, I guess, and a bunch of zombies. If you can survive a bunch of zombies and a fucking shit like that, I guess you could survive in war, but I don't know, that just doesn't make sense.
Upon entering, we can see a pilot dozing off in the cockpit as it gets shot out of the air by a submarine. The plane lands right in front of Conquer, who looks a bit demoralized from the incident, but is instructed by the Squirrel High Command General to clear the plane out of the area to let a boat in. We'll start out by pushing this metal box all the way to the left and then head over to the bathroom to find a soldier with a comically large TNT strapped to their back. Conquer can push him down the hill into the metal crate to stop him from sliding down too far, and then proceed to push him along the right side of the base. Along the way, there will be several mines hidden in the mud, but this is pretty easy to deal with for Arb since they have all their positions memorized. Apparently it is possible to push a TNT guy off the cliff to avoid using the metal box, but the strategy is so finicky and inconsistent, Arb doesn't bother using it. Anyways, once the TNT guy is put into place, this is a good time to restore the electricity to the base to be able to use the context-sensitive pad in the center. To do this, Conquer needs to swim underneath each of these rings while being chased by an electric eel to turn the power back on. And once all three are activated, the power will be restored, and Conquer can use the context-sensitive pad to blow up the TNT. One more TNT guy will need to be pushed along the other side, with Conquer needing to avoid several moving crate traps. It is possible to reach these crates quickly enough to just hold forward through the whole thing, but Arb was slightly off cycle, so they decided to walk into the wall for a moment before moving forward, allowing them to maintain max speed with Conquer while not getting crushed. After the second TNT is placed, we'll shoot it to blow up the other side of the plane, removing it out of the way for the boat to come through.
So he's just killing the
We'll meet up
TNT
with the
guy?
general,
So,
who's
like,
pleased with Conquer's effort and rewards him by distracting him and knocking him out, probably knowing he wouldn't agree to what happens next. Conquer wakes up on the boat wearing military equipment, surrounded by squirrels with machine guns. The boat arrives at the shore, the door drops, and the scene begins playing out exactly like the Omaha Beach scene from Saving Private Ryan. You see, apparently the squirrels are at war with the teddies, these robotic teddy bears controlled by Professor Von Krippelsbach. Arb begins making their way through the barbed wire.
Yo, they just got gunned down. Yo, even Conquer's like, yo, what the fuck? Bro. He got torn up.
Saving Private Ryan. You see, apparently the squirrels are at war with the teddies, these robotic teddy bears controlled by Professor Von Krippelsbach. Arb begins making their way through the barbed wire battlefield, using some clever jumps and crawls to progress through quickly. It's pretty much impossible to not get shot at least once here. After clearing the beach, we'll bump into one of the only squirrel survivors, and just as he gets to explaining the plan, he dies.
Damn.
Conquer then equips himself with a lit cigar and dual wields machine guns to take on the teddies.
Yo, that's sick.
Arb shoots out the lock on the door and heads inside. Upon entering, they're ambushed by the teddies, and they all need to be cleared out of this room before proceeding. Arb then needs to maneuver around these laser traps, which can potentially be really sketchy, because getting hit by a laser doesn't give any invincibility frames, and at least from my experience, it's possible to get killed instantly by one if you get really unlucky.
Wow.
While Arb proceeds through, I do want to talk a bit about the category they're running, since this section is so cool to watch completed quickly. So this category isn't actually
Yo, there's so
100%,
many
but
enemies.
it's actually called Chapters 100%. The first distinction is that this game doesn't really have a 100% category, and the only difference between any percent and 100% is in 100% you grab an additional wad of cash, which is unnecessary to complete the game. This is the cash you get after jumping off the flower's breast from the beginning of the game. Chapters refers to starting the game from the chapter selection unlocked after beating the game.
Yo, bro's getting
Compared
torn
to
up.
starting the game the normal way from a new file, chapter selection allows us to skip almost every cutscene
Oh
in the game,
my god.
making the game so much more enjoyable to speedrun.
Yo,
As a result,
oh
the
my
50 lives
god.
cheat
He's
is also
getting...
allowed to be used because the game only
Yo.
starts with 2 lives, and since intentional deaths are needed in the speedrun route, they've decided to just allow the lives cheat since unintentional deaths will lose time anyways. Lastly, Arb is playing this on the Xbox Series S, which is the fastest way to play this game due to load times. Back to what's happening in the run, Arb enters the operating room and begins taking out all 8 teddies in the room one by one. Once the room is cleared out, Conquer will attempt freeing the squirrel hostage, but no matter which lever is chosen, the poor guy gets electrocuted. The second lever opens up the door, and we'll proceed forward through the facility. In this next room, there's a teddy manning a turret. Arb will handle this the intended way by running around the room and using the context-sensitive pad to rocket launcher him off the gun. Normally here you would probably man the turret to take out the teddies in the back, but Arb just hops on it for a moment to activate them, and then takes them out with the gun in hand. There's not too much to point out here, other than several waves of teddies will begin spawning in the hallways, and they'll all need to be dealt with before proceeding. Arb also makes use of standing on a chocolate spawn, just in case Conquer sustains any injuries, and then once the room is clear, they head inside. Outside, we can see a group of teddies surrounding Conker's friend Rodent with a firing squad. Luckily, his armor is bulletproof, and Arb takes out each of the teddies to save him. Rodent offers to shield Conker from all incoming fire from bombers, as well as spider mines. In total, there will be 6 airstrikes and 3 spider mines to deal with, as well as a ton of RNG involving Rodent's movements, as he can just stop moving sometimes, which can be a bit frustrating. To avoid the airstrikes, Arb will just hug the walls, or move backward to dodge them, and then hide behind Rodent to take care of the spider mines. In this run, Rodent manages to troll Arb quite a bit, stopping several times, but what can you do? Arb will want to maintain as much health as possible for the next section. After reaching the end, the duo will stumble across a door, and Conker will need to shoot out the locks with a context-sensitive pad before proceeding. During this entire ordeal, Conker will be getting shot from several different angles, so we'll want to be quick. Just after shooting the last lock, Arb clears an enemy out of the way, and then heads forward through the doors. In the next area, Conker gains access to a tank, and Arb will use it to blow up an entryway inside the building.
Yo, this part looks mad
Arb
hard.
grabs some extra health, and then heads inside. The extra health they grab ends up being very necessary, as they purposely jump into the waist here to give Conker invincibility frames to blow up the final spider mine without taking damage. At the end of the area there's a lever, and after it's pulled, the area will begin filling with waste. Arb will then head back from where they came and hop back into the tank. What's interesting here is that on the N64, it's possible to recalibrate the stick, and by doing so while holding back, makes it so the tank moves at a much faster speed. So fast that you're able to skip dropping 2 of the bridges with a speed boost. But since Arb is playing on Xbox, they'll just go through here the intended way. In the center of the area, there's a gun on top of this tower, and all 4 pillars surrounding it need to be shot by the tank to knock it down. Also, since N64 strats can't be used here, Conker will need to drop down each bridge in order to proceed. Luckily, the pillar that you normally shoot last can be accessed early by driving down this hill, meaning we can skip the final bridge, but for all the others, Arb will need to be careful to avoid getting blown up by grenades. Once the tower is toppled over, a hole will appear where the tower was, and we'll head through to proceed. In the center of the next area, Conker finds a little girl looking for their mom. But weirdly, this girl knows a surprising amount about the heavy artillery used for submarines.
You about to die, isn't she?
Conker disregards this, only focused on how she probably has rich parents, and begins taking out the nearby submarines. The hitboxes for these subs can be a bit sketchy, so it's best to wait for them to surface above the water for the best results. For the first round of subs, 3 will need to be taken out. For the second round, 5 need to be cleared, and then for the third, a total of 7 will need to be exploded. It's important that these are dealt with quickly to prevent Conker from ever getting shot at, wasting time. It's also possible to shoot 2 subs with 1 shot, like we see Arb do here. Once the final sub is destroyed, Arb will grab a piece of chocolate and head back to the little girl. Just before helping her out of the hole, Rodent appears with the tank, warning Conker not to touch her. The girl reveals herself to be evil, and also attached to a giant teddy, leading to a boss fight versus the 2 of them. This boss fight is actually insane to watch perform quickly. Basically, each wave, the giant teddy will start with a new weapon of sorts to attack Conker with, but by shooting out both weapons and shooting the girl, the teddy will end up turning around, exposing his back, allowing for direct damage. Rinse and repeat the strategy 3 times, and the boss fight is over. After concluding the fight, Conker finds Rodent, presumably dead on the ground, but he doesn't have much time to mourn as the little girl activates a self-destruct sequence with the giant teddy, and a countdown begins to leave the area. The next section is definitely the sketchiest when it comes to tight movement to avoid the red lasers, knowing if you touch even a single one, it could cost the entire run. After reaching the end of the area, Arb stands on a vantage point on top of this box, and begins taking out the room of teddies with a rocket launcher. This spot seems really nice to shoot from, so you can get a good shot at all the teddies, and also don't have to risk shooting a wall, blowing up Conker. I know this section was probably a lot of people's most difficult to clear, so it's crazy to see it speed ran through so effortlessly. Upon leaving the room, Conker's back on the beach, and Arb heads back through the barbed wire fence to reach a boat, officially ending the war portion of the game. During the end sequence of this chapter, Rodent can be seen waking up from being knocked out, only to have just a few seconds left on the countdown timer, and then the place explodes. Rodent can be seen flying in the distance overhead the boat. Upon returning to Windy, we can see that Rodent's armor seemed to have taken out the entire windmill. Conker heads inside anyways,
wow, he
leading
somehow
to the
lived.
Feral Reserve, where Don Weezo and Barry can be found towards the entrance. The boss apparently has one more job for Conker and Barry, and that's for them to rob the bank. Conker has one condition though, and that he also gets a cool Matrix-style suit similar to Barry's. This is honestly my favorite section of the game.
Yo, are
the
you serious?
references and cinematic cutscenes. For this first
Yo,
section,
that's
waves of
sick.
guards will need to be taken
Hold
out,
on.
references and cinematic cutscenes.
Yo, Matrix. Yo, that's actually sick as fuck. That goes hard. That goes hard as hell.
This is honestly my favorite section of the game, just due to the references and cinematic cutscenes. For this first section, waves of guards will need to be taken out in order to proceed deeper into
Oh,
the
the
hallway.
bullet time.
The first
Yo.
phase just has 2 waves of 2 guards. For the second and third phases, there will
Yo.
be 3 guards each wave.
Oh
and then for the
my
final
god,
phase,
that's
there'll be
actually
4.
sick.
The main strat is to just wait behind the pillars until the weasels come out.
Yo, they have fucking bullet time. Oh my god. Yo, that actually might be the most goated portion of the fucking game. Get fucking Matrix, you get Matrix like powers, you start getting bullet time and shit. Oh my god, that actually goes so fucking hard. That's actually so metal. Holy
guards. For the second and third phases, there will be 3 guards
Yo.
each wave, and then for the final phase, there will be 4. The main strat is to just wait behind the pillars until the weasels come out, and then shoot them all in one jump per wave. Arb manages to clear this super quickly, taking advantage of the quicker aiming on Xbox. Now we head into the end game. In the vault room, Barry manages to disable all the traps and open the vault, leading to an entire room filled with cash. Conker needs to grab 3 wads of cash before the game will time-lapse him to reach a millionaire status. The celebration is short-lived, however, as Barry points out the Panther King is sitting right behind them.
Bruh.
As it turns out, the whole operation was a setup coordinated by the King and Don Weezo to capture Conker to repair his table. Barry steps up to confront the King on Conker's behalf, but this backfires, and Don Weezo takes her out with a machine gun.
No!
As Conker mourns, the King begins to get a bit uneasy as he has indigestion from not drinking his milk and commands the Professor to give him a glass. But as it turns out, the Professor has been plotting against the King this entire time, incubating an alien inside him, bearing a striking resemblance to the movie of the same name. And just like how the alien is dealt with in the movie, we'll need to open the airlock and throw it outside.
Bro, what the fuck? Yo, what were the devs on? Are you dead ass? Yo, there's just so many references. Yo, the devs were having so much fun making this fucking game. They're like, yo, let's put a Matrix reference. Let's put a fucking alien reference. Like, let's just put a fucking Rambo reference. Like, yo, they were just throwing half the game is just them being horny as fuck, and the other half is just them adding like fucking like a shit ton of references. But yo, that's crazy. Bro literally's got bro had a Tommy gun and just fucking gunned her down. But somehow the freaking the other fucking squirrel lived the explosion. Like bro's armor is so durable, he just went flying, but he somehow still lived. That's crazy. The plot armor in this game is mad like it's so finicky. Like irrelevant ass character lives, but then literally like the secondary character dies. Okay. That's crazy. Xenomorph. He put a xenomorph inside of him.
An alien inside him, bearing a striking resemblance to the movie of the same name. And just like how the alien is dealt with in the movie, we'll need to open the airlock.
He actually added the xenomorph. That's actually
and throw it outside. Arb begins by pulling the nearby lever to reveal a spacesuit and open the airlock. Everything in the room, including Barry's body and the Professor, gets sucked into space. For being the final boss, this fight isn't too bad. There are 3 different actions the alien can do, including a spin move, a bite, or the boss will move backwards. For the first attack, it doesn't matter if the alien spins or bites, but for the remaining attacks, it's best
Yo,
to
Mario
the
64?
the easiest to respond to opening.
What the fuck?
Once an opening is found, the alien needs to be hit 4 times to stun it. Once it's stunned, Arb will grab its tail from behind and begin Mario 64 spinning it to throw it outside.
This is like, yo,
After
Mario
3
64
throws, the boss will be defeated and the speedrun is complete. All things considered, this was a very clean run from Arb, beating their personal best by 39 seconds, resulting in the first and only 1 hour 21 minute time ever achieved. The game ends with Conker relentlessly trying to get the alien out of the room to no avail, and then just before its final attack, the game freezes. After one of the most hilarious fourth wall breaks I've ever seen, where Conker clears out the background and spawns in several weapons of choice, he grabs a gun as well as a sword. Then he transports to the Panther King's throne room. Conker unpauses the game and cuts the alien's head off, securing his victory.
That's actually too, bro. That is crazy too. Bro just said, yeah, let me just, he's like, hold up, give me a second. He's like, pause. Let me just see. He's like, I'll take the katana real quick. Unpauses and then fucking cuts the alien in half. That's so fucking yeah. Like that's crazy fucking too. Like like bro could break the fourth wall and just pause the game whenever he wants, and then just choose whatever the fuck weapon he wants. Unpauses it.
Conqueror is approached by some of the earlier cast of characters as they point out the throne is vacant and they want him to step up as the new king of the land. Conqueror then realizes in hindsight, in the moment where he essentially had god powers, he should have brought Barry back to life, but it's too late now. Conqueror is placed on the throne with a crown on the head, glass of milk.
Wait, he had god powers. He said, wait, so he can't do it again? Wait, so it was a one-time thing. Wait, so how did he do it in the first place? Yo, wait, so it was a one-off thing. He just randomly paused the game. Was like, let me see what weapons I can get. See what weapons I can get. And then unpauses it, but then he can't do it again. It was a one-off. I'm so confused.
In hand, and the game fades out to a very grumpy Conqueror surrounded by everyone he hates, thus concluding Conqueror's bad for a day. Anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure to drop a like, as that's the best way to show support. Initially I was planning on learning the speedrun and doing runs myself, but I just really couldn't get into the game due to the controls, but I still found the speedrun very interesting, especially at the world record level, and I wanted to cover it. So special thanks again to Obliterator for letting me use their run, as well as helping me with all the info. Their Twitch and YouTube channels will be linked below. Since I wasn't playing this game as much, I do have a handful of other.
So literally the secondary character in the freaking title screen dies. What the serious part made of it. Tetris World Record. Didn't they say the Tetris World Record? Like, didn't it break the game? It got to a point where like the game couldn't even continue. They just broke the game. You got a bully speedrun? I would watch the bully speedrun. If I'm gonna play bully, even though I do remember some parts of the game. I want to go in the game kind of fresh. I'm not gonna watch. Was there a majority? For Fate 100. Twilight Prince. I saw much crazy. Ed and Eddie's. They had an Ed and Eddie game. Well, I'm not surprised, but they had an Ed and Eddie game. Since when?
I feel like on YouTube, content surrounding exposing scammers is getting more and more popular. Whether it be someone like Hitboga trolling refund scammers by pretending to refund Google gift cards.
What's a scam? The speedrun's a scam. Was it a scam?
Some of the cast members resemble the characters they play as, especially Plank. If you enjoyed the show growing up, I definitely recommend checking out the doc after this video. I'll have it linked in the description if you're interested. Anyways, The Misadventures of Ed, Edd n Eddy is a 2005 3D platform style game, and each level essentially plays out like an episode from the show, with a unique scam for each level. Casually, I actually love this game. I found it super fun to play. My only issue with it is that the game is just really short, and it only took me a little over 2 hours to beat the game, even including the bonus levels. But on the other hand, I suppose a short game does make for a shorter speedrun, and since most of the games I run on this channel are closer to over an hour long, it was a nice change of pace. But the real problem here is that with such a short run, each second matters that much more. And with how inconsistent some of the gameplay and speedrun tech is, means you have to reset a lot. For example, the previous world record holder, Carter Kirby, had over 6,400 attempts with only 18 completions before being
6,400 attempts? Bro. I'm sorry. See, that's something. Speedrunners are a whole different breed, bro. Speedrunners are a whole different. There is no way I'm gonna be resetting. I'm gonna play a game and then reset it 6,409 times. I don't have that amount of patience. And I play Mario Kart all the time, and I still don't have that amount of patience. Like, no, I can't. Can't do that. 6,000 times. They're built. Speedrunners are built different. They're just a different breed. I can't. I would literally lose my fucking mind if I reset it 6,000 times. At that point, I'd rather just fucking read a book. And I don't even like reading books like that. I'd rather just sit down and read a book than do this shit.
able to take the world record. The world record history for this game is quite interesting actually. You see, for the longest time, the world record was held by Konosumi, who even ran the game at a Games Done Quick event. His world record was set back in July of 2016 with a time of 20:57. And for all these years, there was never really any competition, as the second place time, while still being a very respectable time, was over 40 seconds slower than Konosumi. When I first noticed that this world record had gone untouched for over 6 years, I was immediately interested in running the game to see if I could give beating the world record a shot once I finished whatever projects I was currently working on. But then at some point when I finally got around to checking the game out, I learned that Carter Kirby had beat me to the punch and managed to beat the long-standing record by 6 seconds. So I decided to hold off on running the game for a bit, but not for the reason you may think. By one of the weirdest coincidences, I'd see a familiar face pop up in my YouTube sub box who looked to be playing the game as well, Toxic Pinhead. You may remember this name if you've watched my Family Guy video, but if you're new to this channel, Toxic Pinhead is a top level speedrunner across several different licensed game speedruns. And when I say this guy is good, I mean he is really good. Not just at performing speedruns, but is profoundly good at routing and glitch hunting. So when I saw that he was looking to start running this game and was already posting strats, I decided to sit back and relax, as I already knew half of what I was planning to learn would be outdated anyways. And I was sort of right. So to set the scene, for about 3 weeks, I would grind this game 2 hours a night, as many nights in a row as I could, because for some reason grinding runs of this game for 2 hours felt like playing any other game for 6. So to avoid losing my mind in the process, I would try to keep my day-to-day consistency up rather than grind long sessions. At some point, Toxic demolished the world record as expected, so I made it my goal to at the very least get a second place time, which would be a sub 2051 time. But then one day I randomly managed to achieve this goal, getting a 2040, which I wasn't expecting to get because I thought the run wasn't very good relative to the strats I was using. But I did achieve my goal. I wasn't sure what to think of this, but I was still warmed up from my prior runs and decided to keep doing attempts for a bit just for fun while I figured out if I wanted to keep grinding this game every day, when suddenly this run happened.
Oh shit.
But before we get into the rest of the video, I'd like to give a special thanks to today's video sponsor, Factor. Now I'm not sure if you've ever been so hangry that you've The game opens up on a hot summer day, with Eds planning their next scheme to sell snow cones to the neighborhood kids, so for the first scam, we'll need to collect some ice cubes from the coolers around the level. In this game we get to play as all 3 Eds, who each have their own abilities, attacks, and formations. For example, Ed's formation Batter Ed you see in the background, which is their fastest movement option throughout the speedrun. It also goes right through most interactable objects and does twice the damage to enemies compared to normal attacks. This first level is the only level with no glitches or crazy speed tech, but it is by far the most annoying level, as it's the cause for at least 90% of resets, if not more. I think there was at least one day during my grind where I spent a whole hour in this 2-minute level just not being able to get past it. The main reason being luck. You see, in order to get past the dog at the start, you have to pick up and throw a cat at it to lure it away. The difference between good and bad cat RNG is only maybe 5 seconds, because if you pick it up too close to the door, a squirrel chases you, and you kinda just have to deal with it, which does even out the time a little bit, but this isn't even the main issue with this level. After getting past the dog, we'll switch to Double D and shoot Jimmy's stuffed animals with water balloons. I actually made the mistake of playing my casual playthrough with inverted camera turned off, and then later learned that it's enabled by default, and I would lose a couple seconds each run turning it off, so adjusting to the inverted camera was kind of weird, especially for sections where I have to shoot the water balloon, but I eventually got used to it. After shooting the water balloons, we then have the first bottleneck of the run, which are the squirrels. In order to progress, we have to throw 3 squirrels into this house as Ed, and as you can guess, their movement is completely random and way more erratic than the cat, as the squirrels will literally run away from you.
Also,
There definitely is an art to capturing the squirrels, and really tiny things you can do to change their movements. But at the end of the day, if you're resetting at squirrels, 9 times out of 10, it's probably due to bad RNG. Generally, I would always try to go for at least a 115 on the segment, but on certain occasions, I could easily save 10 seconds, and I even got a 1-minute time with some godlike luck. But yeah, while it can be fun to optimize, sometimes at a certain point, throwing 3 squirrels into a house over and over again can only get so fun, and you just want to play the rest of the game. But yeah, the level doesn't end there. After collecting the last ice cube, we then need a method of actually making the snow cones, and yet stumble across some weird machine Rolf has to create meatballs. But he won't let us use it because it can only be used by the son of a shepherd.
son of a shepherd.
So we break open his pen with Batter Ed, letting his pigs loose, forcing Rolf
You
to
dare
pay for our
mess
help
with the
getting
son
them
of a
back in
shepherd?
in exchange to use the machine. This challenge is nearly identical to the squirrels, and that we'll need to get 3 pigs into the pen to proceed. The only good setup for this challenge is for 1 pig to just run into the pen without us doing anything. And if that doesn't happen, that usually just means a reset, unless I got really good squirrels.
What? Wait. So he just said a pig has to run in. If the pig, so that's orange. Yo, that's nah. See, I'd crash out. I'd crash out. I would immediately crash out. If my run relies on a pig doing something, like said the pig has to walk in. If it doesn't walk in, it's basically you just have to reset. Nah, bro. Nope. Ain't no fucking way. Hell. Got me fucked. At that point, just quit.
The level ends with the Eds finally making their snow cones, although they get contaminated from the leftover meat and the grinder, so they'll have to come up with something else. At least Ed likes them. Ideally, I'll get out of the first split with any time around 2 minutes or less, which is fine for me, but I've seen other runners like Carter Kirby bust out 1 minute 40-second times, which is absolutely nuts to be able to save so much time in such a short level, which is why we have to reset so much. Luckily past Scam 1, the game gets a lot more interesting. Moving on to the next level, the Eds are barred from entering a party with the neighborhood kids. But with nothing better to do, they decide to crash the party and sneak in via the sewers. We'll start at this level with Ed and head over to these barrels. Normally how you're supposed to do this first part is use Double D's formation Trample Ed to get onto the top section, and then interact with the wheel to draw the bridge, letting the other Eds over. But speedrunners can skip that second part by spamming the formation button after landing, warping the other Eds onto the platform. I'm going to give you guys a little motion sickness warning for the next trick, but in Carter's run he instead uses a different trick by spamming the aim button with Double D to eventually clip Ed through the wall. From here he can walk around out of bounds, hit the checkpoint for the next area, and then fall out of bounds to death warp back inside with all the Eds. This method for performing clips is extremely inconsistent, and if you can't get it quickly, well then I guess it's back to Scam 1. Luckily for me, Toxic Pinhead found a new form of clipping using the Trample Ed. When using Trample Ed in tight spaces, either Ed on both sides of Double D will clip through the wall for a short period of time, which I believe to be an intended game mechanic to give the game that snappy rubber band effect the show has and to not limit the use of certain abilities. But by canceling the Trample Ed while the Eds are clipped into the wall, cancels the formation, leaving whichever Ed you want stuck inside. By smacking the Toxic Waste Barrel over here and spamming the formation button allows us to quickly clip through the wall consistently. Moving forward through the level,
how do
we'll
people
pretty
find
much
out
just be
about
taking out
this shit?
enemies with Batter Ed and using Double D's ability to open up pathways. That is until we reach this puzzle where we have to lower the water so Johnny gives us a valve to open the door. But we can skip this puzzle altogether by clipping through the door instead. In Carter and Konasumi's run, they use a similar clip to the one I showed earlier by making Eddie stand on top of Ed and then spamming with Double D to clip him through. But as you can see, this trick is extremely inconsistent. So in my run, I copied Toxic's method of bringing this rat over and perfectly timed the Trample Ed to clip through the wall. Heading outside of Jimmy's backyard, the area is vacated, so the Eds use this opportunity to smash all of Jimmy's piñatas. We'll just have to crack these open as quickly as possible. Pretty straightforward. But upon opening the last one, they discover apparently the Kanker sisters were hiding inside it, leading us to the next challenge. For this part, Lee and May will blow kisses at us while Marie runs around the area. We'll just want to shoot the beehives whenever Marie runs under them, and in the meantime shoot the other sisters to prevent them from damaging us. For a long time it was assumed that there was no time save in this level, but believe it or not, I accidentally randomly found a way to save time in this section by hitting a beehive super early allowing me to essentially get a double hit on Marie. Toxic looked into this and found this would actually save up to 5 seconds on the final section, which I did manage to hit in my run. How this wasn't found sooner is beyond me, as not even the task does this trick, but at least I can relish in the glory that I actually contributed to the speedrun route in some way. The level ends with Kevin making fun of the Eds, since despite their best efforts, by the time they showed up, the party was already over. For the next level, the Eds bump into Rolf, inquiring about the jawbreakers he has, and learn that the candy store was apparently giving them out for free today. With the store closing soon, the only chance of getting there on time is to take a shortcut. We'll start at this level using Batter Ed on this wall to create a ramp to use Eddie's ability Tower of Eddie to climb up. In the next section, we're
Low-key, I wish I grew up with these type of games. Seem really nostalgic. Even though they're fucking hot dog shit. I feel like the hot dog shit games are the games that are the most memorable. I wanna play a fucking Timmy Turner ass game. Sadly, I was not born around that time. I kinda was, but like probably like near end of it.
supposed to help Jimmy save his rabbit, Mr. Yum Yum, from the tree, which is what speedrunners did for a long time. But Jimmy is annoying, so I'll just do a trample Ed skip to get through the wall. Unfortunately for the next section, the only way to skip it is to mash Ed through the wall, which is awkward here because sometimes Double D can clip into Ed, or he'll clip through the right side wall instead. But in this run, thankfully I do manage to get through pretty quickly. After running through the next path, we're supposed to throw Double D up the sledge so he can circle around and move the tractor to clear the path. The devs put an invisible trigger here to disable any formations, but by jumping around the fence, we avoid the trigger completely, allowing us to warp the Eds up, skipping the tractor. In the next section, Kevin for some reason wants us to throw basketballs at these trash cans, and we're not supposed to proceed until they're all knocked over. But we can do a new type of clip over here by lining up Ed parallel to the wall, activating Batter Ed, and holding right. This allows Double D to clip through thin walls like this fence. However, this only clips us halfway through, and another clip will have to be performed to get across. Afterwards, we can just head into the cutscene trigger, and then shoot one of the baskets to land on Johnny's head, knocking over the honey he's holding, luring the bees away from the opening. For some reason, I had the weirdest camera shenanigans occurring during this, but after running to the end of the area, I'll open the door and finally head into the candy store. Eddie rushes into the store and is unable to contain his excitement, throwing the last remaining jawbreaker into his mouth right away. Double D learns that the jawbreakers are contaminated with foot powder, causing Eddie to have an allergic reaction, turning him green with spots. Knowing he'll be lambasted by the other neighborhood kids, we'll have to proceed back to the level in reverse while staying undetected. To get past this dog at the start, we can hide in this box, leave it right away, and then walk around the front of the dog to damage boost forward. We'll then need to get around Johnny. While waiting for him to move out of the way, I'll try to hit the school bell early so I don't need to do it in the next section, luring Naz away from blocking the path. Eventually we'll reach Jimmy, who's doing some painting, but I can just mash with Ed to throw a paint can at him, clearing the path. Oh, I also ended up getting trolled by a squirrel here, pushing me into this wall, which was great. One interesting thing about Batter Ed is it persists even during camera pans. So while approaching Sarah here, I'll position in a way to bonk into the fence during the camera transition, which should put me perfectly on cycle to get around her. Then lastly, I'll just need to get past Kevin. By waiting to perform a Batter Ed just as he rides his bike forward, gives me just enough time to avoid detection and finish the level. After safely making it home, our efforts are in vain as the neighborhood kids form a paparazzi outside Eddie's window, taking pictures of his green face. How embarrassing. The next level takes place on a construction
How
site.
though?
Where
How?
we have to traverse a course created by
How
Rolf
they-
to earn his Urban Ranger badge. This level has sort of been uprooted completely in terms of strats, but for the sake of being thorough, and to give a good comparison of what is exactly skipped, let me first go over how this level used to be played. Looking at Carter's run, the beginning of the level starts out with using Ed to drop these wooden planks, and for the most part is just a casual route. There is a trick we can do here on the metal beams that are supposed to be walked across as the Tower of Eddie. By jumping around the invisible triggers at the start of each beam, avoids the game disabling the other Eds from moving forward, and they'll automatically path over the beams. This can be a bit risky, however, as if one Ed falls into the water, it counts as a death even if you weren't playing as them. So in a lot of cases, it isn't even worth using. After this section, he'll proceed forward using another Batter Ed bonk to clip through the door. Then he'll use Tower of Eddie across the support beam, open a door, and then head into the next area. In this section, we're meant to play a whack-a-mole mini game, hitting Jimmy's head as it pops up, and as fun as it would be to do that, instead we can use another, and thankfully last spam clip of the run to get through the door. The next section can be cleared by either just doing the intended route or by jumping around these beams with double D to progress the checkpoint ahead and then death abusing to get all the ads to the other side. Also, since there's a rat over here, it can be used to clip through the gate. Normally in this section, we're meant to find 4 power cells to power the generator and open the gate. But instead, we're going to skip all of that and bypass the gate using an AI manip. By positioning the Eds in such a way, we can get Double D stuck on the gate, quickly switch to Eddie, and jump on Double D's head, and then switch to Ed and jump. If performed quickly, and with a slight amount of luck, Eddie should be able to perform a jump in the same direction he was facing to jump over the gate. Next, we'll just need to beat Rolf's goat Victor in a headbutt competition. But that's pretty easy, and only takes a few hits. Then finally, we'll finish off the course with a race against Kevin across this wooden track. This is relatively easy. We just have to be careful about cutting corners, so we don't fall off, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, this is at least how we used to beat this level. That is until Toxic Pinhead found an absolutely ridiculous strat for completing it. You see, apparently he stumbled across a video posted 6 years ago, showing off a glitch that causes some of the characters to fly in the air. By performing a formation on the same frame one of the Eds dies, breaks the game by canceling the death altogether, leaving Double D and Ed in a very glitchy state. In this state, they can't move properly, and by going into first person mode with Eddie while inside their collision, expels them away from Eddie, flying endlessly into the void.
I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky.
The problem with this glitch is that at first glance,
of course
it
it's sticking
doesn't
that
seem all that
stupid.
useful, since like I said, you can't really move around in this state, and once the ads get too far separated, you can't switch between them, essentially leaving you soft locked until you exit the level. But performing this glitch by the water at the beginning of Scam 4 in this exact spot would allow us to clip Double D through the wall and propel him towards Kevin in order to hit his cutscene trigger from above, warping the Eds over to the area. The glitch could then be fixed by performing a formation, and just like that, most of Scam 4 was now entirely skipped. While this was an amazing find, and further applications were developed like giving a slight tilt to Eddie, allowing him to clip through walls, the trick was extremely inconsistent even for this game's standards. But it would be really cool to see some of these tricks used in the task. The main issue with the trick was not only was it frame perfect, but we would have very little control over how Double D would float. We needed him to float at a very precise angle, not going too far up, or too far down, or pretty much any direction to the left or right. It was basically a coin flip, in an already extremely luck-based and inconsistent speedrun. Toxic estimated that he was only able to pull this trick off once out of every 50 times, and that's after hitting the frame perfect input. And in my case, I wasn't able to hit it once.
Wow.
The trick was awful. But then of course, Toxic did what Toxic does best, and somehow managed to hit the trick in a run where he was right in his splits, allowing him to gold the segment. From here, he wouldn't choke the rest of the run, and set a seemingly unbeatable world record.
That's crazy.
Morale was low for anyone attempting to pick up and speedrun this game. I guess that anyone was probably just me. But my point still stands. This trick fucking sucked. But Toxic didn't give up there, and went back to the drawing board, and came up with a brand new type of float. A float only told in fairy tales, never to be seen by humans. The goat float. The goat float was in every way superior to the normal float, both in speed and consistency. Although, let's not get ahead of ourselves, this trick was anything but consistent. But still, it was finally doable for the average speedrunner like myself. The trick now involved positioning Double D on a specific spot on the wall, and then going first person with Eddie from his default position. This would give a significant amount of speed to Double D, but he would just end up hitting an invisible wall anyways, and we wouldn't reach Kevin. So what was the point? Well, the point would be to hit the invisible wall on purpose, and ride it until we hit the fourth piece of ground geometry you see on screen. Shoot a water balloon, and hold in the direction of the wall, bounce off it, and redirect the speed downwards. This would allow Double D to eventually hit the death trigger below the level. By flying close enough to the Victor fight, we would respawn at the checkpoint, and could then formation and finish the level. It's worth pointing out that you have to be really quick when performing the formation, or else stuff like this can happen. But yeah, with this trick finally being viable for speedruns, it now became a requirement for all top level runs moving forward. And thankfully, my forte when it comes to speedrunning is hitting difficult skips. So in this run, I pulled it off, and leaving this level, I'd be up 22 seconds with my best possible time under 20 minutes. The level ends with the Ed celebrating their victory over Kevin, but unfortunately Rolf only has one badge, so he rips it up into pieces for the Eds to split up. The next level opens up with Jimmy trying to locate Mr. Yum Yum, which he's then mocked by Eddie, informing him that it's trapped inside an abandoned house. Eddie offers to find the rabbit in exchange for a quarter, and Jimmy agrees only upon delivery. So we head inside. After heading inside, the door locks behind the Eds, and they're confronted by the Kanker sisters, who will only give up the rabbit in exchange for presents. Well, also some kisses, but we'll pass on that. So normally to beat this level, we'd have to collect one gift for each sister to reach the table saw they placed Mr. Yum Yum on. But by precisely platforming around the table, jumping next to it, and spamming the interact button will allow us to beat the level instantly.
What?
This is somewhat of a tight window to execute, but honestly isn't too bad, other than randomly sometimes the trigger to void out will extend further out for no reason, making the trick impossible, which did happen to me at least twice. If that happens, the run is just dead at that point, which is kind of brutal to happen right after the goat float.
You could beat the level in like
ends with
5
Mr.
seconds.
Yum Yum finally returning to Jimmy. Although somehow even beating the level in 10 seconds, we were too late, and he got sawed in half. Jimmy ends up being so upset, he forgets about paying the quarter. Now we're on to the final level, Scam 6. The level starts with Eddie rummaging under his bed to retrieve a suitcase filled with jawbreakers. But upon opening it, they found the suitcase has been emptied out, with the only contents being a small piece of a map. So in the next level, we'll need to search around collecting 2 additional map pieces to figure out where the jawbreakers are. Normally for the beginning of this level, we need to collect 3 power cells to open this gate, but by doing a trample ed clip, we can skip right past it. I should note that doing these clips using the dogs is really difficult because you only get 2 attempts, if that, because of how much damage they do. So you really want to hit this first try to avoid losing too much time. Next we'll proceed forward and find Johnny attempting to grab a map piece on this fence. So we'll keep pushing this car bumper forward to yeet him out of the way. Normally we need to deactivate the electric fence, but if we jump into the map piece while it's turned to the side, its hitbox sticks out enough to pick it up. But we have to be really careful because by doing the end of level skip in Scam 5, the HUD is disabled, so the health bar isn't shown until we can fix it. We'll proceed forward to the next gate. One interesting thing you can do is batter Ed into certain interactable objects, and for some reason, Ed will never bonk on them, creating a powerful active hitbox to lure enemies towards to take them out. While it is RNG on how quickly this dog comes over here, it is worth taking it out because at this point, my health is pretty low, and it would take 4 attacks with Double D to kill it, plus I'd have to deal with nearby enemies like rats and spiders as well. Also, Double D by far has a worse base attack, especially compared to Eddie's Yo-Yo, which you can pretty much just spam, so I wouldn't really trust it versus a dog, which you'd most likely trade hits with. In the next part, I got kind of unlucky with the dog targeting me while opening the gate, and I took a bite trying to kill it. I tried my best to collect health, but at this point had no idea what my health was truly at. But then I got pretty lucky after hitting this car bumper, and got bitten by a rat just before the dog got to me, giving me enough invincibility frames to proceed relatively unscathed. Eventually we'll stumble across Jimmy, who has the final map piece needed, but isn't willing to give it up without a jawbreaker. So we have to go to the end of the swamp area to reach it. We can actually avoid talking to Jimmy the first time and just head straight over here. The safe strat is to play as Double D and run across the bridges to drop down the planks and clear out the enemies. This is because when we run back through here with the Tower of Eddie, if an enemy hits us, it cancels the formation, and since there's slippery mud covering all the grassy platforms, there's a very high chance one of the Eds goes flying through the mud straight into the water, which we definitely want to avoid. After death warping back to the Eds, we'll have to move across the platforms and avoid swinging tires with the Tower of Eddie. Upon reaching the end, we can clear out the enemies and then pick up a spider egg to trick Jimmy into thinking it's a jawbreaker. You move much faster with the Tower of Eddie while holding an item, and I ended up risking it a bit too hard on this tire and got thrown into the water. This section is really difficult casually, but in a speedrun, it's sometimes hard for me to contain myself and actually wait, and here it did not pay off.
Bro,
I
why?
even had to run back through a bit to kill the spiders that spawned when dropping the egg, but thankfully this was right by where we picked the spider egg up, and I didn't lose too much time, but sub 20 was going to be really tight. After returning to Jimmy, we give him the spider egg for the map piece. The spider egg ends up exploding spiders all over Jimmy, and for some weird reason he starts freaking out. Anyways, after grabbing the map piece, we have this big puzzle area, and honestly, I can't even remember how we're supposed to do this casually, because there's a massive oversight with the puzzle. If we move Double D across the right side and jump down, we can make it to the other side. The reason for the puzzle is it's meant to make it so you can get all 3 Eds to the other side, but you only need Double D to open the door, because the game doesn't even check to see if the other Eds are with you. It only checks to make sure you've collected both map pieces. In the next section we find Rolf and Victor once more, and Victor seems to be chewing on a map piece, so we'll have to do another fight against the goat to retrieve it, which is easy enough. The only difficult part is after knocking Victor into the water, the game prompts us if we want to fight him again, with the default option being yes, so we have to make sure to select no.
Bro, why is that the
After
default
piecing
option?
the map together, we learn it really isn't a map, but a message from the Kanker sisters that are in possession of our Jawbreakers. The Eds head into their mobile home, only to fall into a pitfall
How did the
trap
Kanker
into this
sisters
weird
get into their
underground
house?
junkyard area. This area is pretty straightforward, and we'll just use Double D to open the doors, Tower of Eddie to get across beams, and Batter Ed for general movement. Eventually we'll reach this room with 4 dogs. Normally to clear this room, you need to clear out the dogs and interact with 4 keypads to open the door, which is pretty slow, so I like to go for a door clip here instead to save 15 to 20 seconds. Unfortunately, I just had a bad setup and died to the dog. Upon respawning, any dogs that are still alive keep their health the same, and any others I killed will respawn with full health. I saw there was still 1 dog left and decided to go for the clip again. I managed to pull it off, making the section about the same speed as a casual route. After clipping, I like to Batter Ed right into the water to respawn the Eds right in front of the bridge with full health, because we'll definitely be needing the health in the final area. After running through the section, it's finally onto the Kanker sister boss fight. For this boss fight, the Kanker sisters will be blowing kisses at us as attacks, but if we just keep moving, for the most part, we should avoid taking damage, but it is pretty random, hence why I made sure I had full health before heading in. The main idea here is to Batter Ed near a throwable object, hit a squirrel along the way so it doesn't attack us, throw an object at the generator so the water isn't electrified, and then Batter Ed the support beams. Doing this 4 times finishes the fight, and that's the end of the game. The level ends with the Kankers falling off the platform, and the Jawbreakers spilling all over the ground. The Eds collect what they can grab and sprint out of the vicinity, but this was the Kankers' plan the whole time, to trap them at the altar. And, well, you can probably guess what happens next.
Bruh.
But yeah, despite some of the mistakes made in the final level, this was my cleanest run so far. But my load remover was broken,
Yo, they really
so the run
trapped
would
them.
need to be retimed. Unfortunately, after throwing the run into the editing software, it turned out the run was 28 frames off of
Yo,
sub
can
20.
someone tell NC
Sad
to like
scam game.
like
Either way, I'm still really proud of this run,
Right,
despite it not turning out
like-
exactly how I wanted. And I was just relieved that the grind was finally over.
someone needs to crush his gem?
And yeah, if you for some reason got this far into the video, and were still thinking the video title was hyperbole, it's probably because you didn't see all the stuff that happened in earlier runs. Such as me throwing a cat at the dog and having it crash my game. Or the dogs pretending I just don't exist and never pathing towards me.
What?
Or me throwing 3 pigs in the pen and the game not counting them. I
What?
could go on and on.
No way.
I mean, just to play the game, I had to find it on some sketchy
no.
website, because the sketchy website I found was the only sketchy website that apparently didn't have the chance to brick your PC. Not only this, but just to make the game look good in windowed mode, I had to download some weird software, and anytime I clicked out of the game, I would lose game audio, and it would break my auto splitter. Like, I love this game, and I don't think I've ever complained this much about a voluntary speedrun grind before, but it's crazy how every playthrough of this 20-minute long game felt like a personalized experience. Like I was playing a new game every single time. I think the speedrun is one of my most prized speedrun accomplishments, just due to how much stuff I had to put up with. Anyways, guys, I want to give a special thanks to Konosumi.
Nah, speedrunners. Hell no. All that Mickey shit happening and you still playing? Nah, see, speedrunners. Nah, bro. Low-key speedrunners are masochists. Low-key speedrunners are masochists. Like, bro, what? All this Mickey shit happening. You throwing pigs in the freaking pen and it not counting. Random glitches. Random crashing. Hell no. Hell no. Couldn't be me. I'd rather play like 15 races, 20 races with bad wagon than do this shit. Hell no. I put my VR on the line too. I'm not. This shit would like literally have me throwing my controller at my TV. Like I'm not. Hell no. Actually, the fuck. Fun fact: the characters having different tongue colors comes from Danny until he had. While meeting his son and friends came in, to all candy they just ate. Tongues changed color. Candy. Ed's whole basic plot. It's one big scam. True, I was gonna say, I thought it was a scam, but then I remember that the Ed's whole basic plot is that they scam people. They're just scammers. That's funny. I totally forgot that they're fucking scammers. They try to scam the other kids. So it's how they always get soft locked. It's the most buggy games I've ever seen. Nah, honestly, the real scam is the friends we made along the way. These glitches are so fitting in Ed, Edd n Eddy's. Main thing I remember the game is how long it took me to 100% for a year on it. One jawbreaker away from the completion, and it was the one in the 4 though where you have to assemble the power cell. Oh man, that's fucking. That's actually that Trunks, the worst Dragon Ball Z game. The drink? They put the drink on the drink? A beverage of sorts? 10:30. I take my ass to bed. Should I take my ass to bed? I do have finals tomorrow. I do have finals tomorrow. I just wanted to stream just for the sake of consistency. I've been streaming for how long? 2 hours and 7 minutes. I did say there was gonna be a short stream. Tomorrow I'll probably definitely be doing. I guess I'll end it. I just want to be consistent. Um, and where is it? There we go. I love the screen. I'm so creative. Yeah, I might rock this for the next few months. I'm not gonna lie. I might rock this for the next. I'm really proud of this work. I'm really proud of this. But anyways, if you enjoyed the stream, even though I didn't really do shit, leave a like on the VOD. I'd really appreciate it. Just subscribe to the YouTube channel, or you can follow me on Twitch. I prefer YouTube, but if you don't like YouTube for Twitch, that's also. Also, we have our own community Discord. So, if you're over the age of 18, want to join, feel free. Sometimes we hang out. Discord. Also, anybody who's in the Discord will be notified whenever I go live. So, if you don't want to miss a future stream and you want to be here on time as soon as I upload, make sure to get into the Discord. With that being said, I'm gonna end stream pretty early. Again, I need to go to bed. I need like rest. I need my brain to be at maximum efficiency tomorrow morning. But tomorrow I'll definitely probably stream a lot longer. But with that being said, wish me luck. I hope you all have a good rest of your night, and I will see y'all probably tomorrow. Or yeah, out. See y'all next stream.